All right, guys, so as I mentioned, today we'll be looking at single leg X guard, how to get to it using the shin to shin. Single leg X, just like anything in Jiu-Jitsu, has a bunch of different names. You'll hear Ashigarami as well. The single leg X is kind of like the accepted one, so that's what we use at the moment. When he's standing above me here and I'm playing seated guard, there's not too many options that I have from here besides some kind of dummy sweep, which probably won't work on someone that's super good, and a lot of wrestle ups. So wrestle ups would be slightly more advanced nogi. It's kind of where the meta is shifting. A lot of being here, getting a good angle, and then getting up on single legs and so on. So it's a blend of guard and wrestling. For the shin on shin, what I want to do here, as he's moving towards me, I want to get myself in a position where I can go shin to shin right away. So here's a bad entry. This type of thing will just get me smashed. Sloan's gonna go straight down on top of me and I'm gonna have a really bad time. So what I'm going to do instead is when I go shin on shin here, I'm going to make sure that I wrap my arm around his leg and that his kneecap is attached to my shoulder. If it's not, problems will arise, all right? And then the next thing here is I won't go straight back to my back, because once again, if Sloan gets heavy, he starts putting pressure down, it's just gonna be a pass right away. So I will make sure to go towards this leg at an angle. And now all I have to do when I get to here is start kicking this leg up and securing the guard. Notice, extremely important, my hips are high up here. And my grip with the arm for the moment is going to be just this kind of standard footlock grip. If I could, I would probably be grabbing for this leg. Normally people will step it pretty far back. So we're going to add some attacks from here, talk about it a lot more, but for now let's just focus on the entry. So if we're doing this in a little bit of movement, I would try to go with my shoelaces behind his Achilles, bring my leg closer, bring his leg closer, attach the kneecap to my shoulder, roll towards the inside, and shoot my hips up like so. I have to have a tight connection here, and I can get it by lifting my hips up, my knee is touching my ankle, and my heel is digging just on the other side of his hip flexor, like so. If he decides to walk backwards or go anywhere, I'm going to be coming with him. And this is not the type of strength like I'm just like holding on. This is structural, all right? And then if he's going too far back like this, I can grab his leg and get on top. So for now, just the entry. Any questions on this? No? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Just a couple of things that I see here. It's very important when I start going for the shin on shin to get this connection here nice and tight, right? I see some of you have a little bit of problems extending this leg away. One thing as well here, when I go for this, I'll normally put my hand on his leg here, somewhere around the knee. The reason being, I don't actually mind if he steps a little bit further that way or if he gets unbalanced in this direction, because it means that this leg will become lighter. Sometimes people will not move their leg and I just kind of have some more structure here. So now as I go in, this is the most important part here where I kick the leg up and then as quickly as possible, I close this together. So see what's happening here is I've decided to use my entire body on one of his limbs. And that's always a good idea. It's, in military terms, it's called defeating your opponent in detail. You basically take away his mobility by going and attacking one of his limbs. And now from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn in and then just do a basic sweep backwards. If you've got a taste for footlocks, you could try and add a footlock here, but it's a better idea to just get up. This is probably the most basic single leg X sweep, but it actually works because sometimes some techniques become so basic that people don't expect them anymore, but they still work. So I would use this in combination with another move, which we'll be looking at in the last week. So normally when you get to here, if you turn your knees to the inside, it exposes his heel. So I can actually get him to start rolling, and this is the most common outside heel hook finish from the single leg X. We'll leave this one for the last week when we're going over leg locks, because we have to talk about a couple of things, safety and so on. But this is kind of laying the groundwork for that as well. So once again, the sweep that we will be doing is going to kind of rely on a fake here. So I'm going to get to here, turn this in. His reaction will be, I'm gonna turn my hip out that way. And that's when I hit him with this. Then I can use the momentum of him falling down to get up as well. All right, basic single leg X sweep. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
So something I want to just add to this entry to the single leg X is, now I want to off balance Miha as soon as I shoot up into it. Like if I can throw my hips up really high, that should just make the sweep happen right away. Like as soon as I'm entering into this position, right? So give that a try. When we go down into this position, you should throw your hips high up enough and your knees outward enough that it's either going to make your partner fall down or it's just going to create like a big off balance, right? It's going to make him stumble. And then we can, you know, whip in, like Miha was saying, and go out to finish them off if they don't fall down right away. But the second that I shoot into this, I'm trying to off balance them right away, just from entering this position. And then one more thing, as far as like coming up with the momentum of them falling, as Miha falls, if I see that like he's tipping, I'm gonna take this foot off of his hip and just come up to that knee. I don't know if you guys noticed what I just did there. It's a subtle little movement, but it makes a big difference if you want to come up on top. Now, if you want to stay down with your partner and like attack legs, that's fine, but that's for another day. So I shoot my knees in this direction diagonally, and as I see Miha falling, I take this foot off, and it's going to help me come right up into a perfect position to start passing guard.
You need to identify that perfect point when there's no return. He's falling for sure. Just remove the leg, get up.
Yep.
All right, let's go practice. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty, so let's look at a different. So as far as getting to single leg X, we have the shin on shin, really good purposeful way where I'm going to get to single leg X. And then what happens a lot of times too is you get there by escaping something. So I want to just show you guys a couple of ways to get there. We won't be practicing these. We'll actually move on to what we do if we're faced with a common reaction. But just to illustrate this, so if Sloan has mounted me, this escape doesn't really work. I have like 2 that might work, and the third one is a miracle. But this escape works on 99% of the people if done correctly. It's called the kipping escape. So what I do here is I put my hands, or some people prefer the fist, on here. I do a little bit of bridge to the side, and then I basically kip my body, get my knees in to secure a single leg X here. This is one of the better options to get in. Or sometimes people have mount. They don't do the best job, especially beginners. They don't do the best job keeping the hips close. Some basic bridge and some pushing. This is kind of the first thing that I get to, and it should be instinctive, right? This is far, far better than being mounted. So let's look. For this one, I actually need my opponent to be on the feet. So we're going to go back to the shin on shin. So as soon as I do this, because I'm doing a good job with my heel here, my toes are kind of exposed. What I actually don't want to do is I don't want to turn this over here. Sloan might just put a lot of pressure down. Estima lock me. This is a nasty submission here. So what pretty much everyone is going to do that knows anything about jiu-jitsu, when they get to this position, they'll start pushing this leg down, right? So we can kind of predict it. So as soon as he starts pushing down, first we'll go to more conventional X guard. So he pushes this down, I'm going to use the other leg here to off balance him and have regular X guard. right? Very, very, very useful in the gi. When I have grips on the collar, the sleeves, X-guard is pretty awesome. So what I'll do from here, because he's kind of upright, I know that he's vulnerable in this direction. We'll go for a quick sweep where I'm going to go one leg in his hip, the other one is going to lower down. Basic mechanics here, remove and get on top. So once again, we do the shin on shin, shoot this up. I get to normal X-guard, slide this one lower and push him in the direction where his base is broken. I can start controlling his legs and pass or retreat temporarily. One more time. Go here and here, right? Make sure to pay attention to not have your knees go in like this. They have to be flared out. This one here is propped behind his knee. This one is pointed out like this. I give him a little bit of an off balance over and go for a sweep. This also works really well in the gi. The next one that we'll do is more nogi specific. Any questions on this one? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Before we get into the technique, one troubleshoot, then we'll look at another way to get to single leg X, and then we'll advance our technique. As far as troubleshooting goes, one thing that I see, so if Sloan is doing the entry here, you see how Sloan instinctively has this knee pointing out? Very important. If his knee is kind of centered with mine, or God forbid on this side, all that someone skilled will do is point the knee towards the ground. And now you're in a very bad spot. All right, so whenever we're doing this here, make sure to have the knee pointed out in this direction. And now Sloan enters into the single leg X. I'm wary right away. I push this off. He goes into X-guard. See, the same mechanics apply here with the knees. If this one was in front here, I could just lower down or perhaps go right for a leg lock. Or if this one's too far in, now I can start smashing to this direction, and it's also not great. So with X-guard, we have to make sure that we're going into opposite directions. And then as far as, yeah, so when he's going to sweep here, notice how this foot goes that direction, this foot goes in that direction. And then I'm falling straight backwards where I don't have any base. This is a super, super useful one that is a good one to remember. So the next way to get into single leg X, this one probably isn't very obvious to most people, from half guard bottom. Sorry, not half guard, side control I meant. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that I could do here with our basic escape where I go for an underhook, I could also just pull the leg and get into single leg X from here. Now let's say we have the same thing happening. He's putting weight down here, he's being stable, he's starting to push this off here. Now I already have this one here, so I can go reverse X-guard. Normal X-guard, reverse X-guard. I have to off balance him now, so I'm going to get this hand here and I'm going to pull it across this way. For this move, I need him to put his hands on the ground like so. Now I'll be using my legs to bring him over me and sliding this leg in like so. See what just happened here? I'll show it again. But I got into a really good leg entanglement from here. This is called, this position has the most names. Inside Sankaku, 411, honey hole, saddle, probably like 10 more. So yeah. From here, I have several options. One, I can go for the inside heel hook from here, and probably an even better option from here, if you can use the momentum to get up, you can get up in a nice knee cut situation. So let's look at this again. This is for sure, if you're more of a beginner, this is going to be the hardest technique that we'll do today, but I'm confident we can all get it down. So from here, Sloan starts pushing this off. I go here. Now I'm going to use my arm here to pull him, and also my legs. They work in unison to bring him here. Now he's going to feel that he's off balance. He's going to be kind of worried about a sweep, so he's going to start to go towards me a little bit. And at this point, I use my shin here to prop this leg up off the ground, and then I just let it slide past. I can close a triangle here and then just push him down like so. See how I have this knee pointing out, really good control. You'll see when you have your partner in here, you can let them try and escape a little bit, they won't go anywhere. Super, super good control. We make sure that we're keeping a hold of this leg, because we'll talk about this in the last week, but when we're attacking this bottom leg, we do so by isolating the other one first, bringing it across, and then isolating this one for the heel hook. So one more time. The hardest thing to get here will be just how to use your legs in unison. And then when he's over here, we're going to be letting him slide down. But Sloan and I will be going around. If you need any help, just let us know. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Really well. Like I said, a lot of moving parts in this one. Not a lot of gi experience that prepares us for this type of move. I just want to go over a couple of things here that are going to help you make this even smoother. So as soon as I'm entering here, he pushes this down. I go right here. I have to make sure that I have good engagement here on my X guard. I don't want to move my knees in. I don't want to move this one in. I want to have good connection. Obviously, I try to unbalance him right away. Don't get greedy here and try to go for the leg right away. What I have to do first is I have to lift him up and use my legs to bring him more above me, right? So I'm enlisting the help of my friend gravity here by bringing him above me like this. Now, I have to turn the shin like so. If he's keeping his leg up, if he knows that this is bad, I can just hook here and pull it down. The main mistake that people make here after doing all this hard, beautiful work is turning this knee like so. And now if I try to pull him down like this, I'm pulling him down not into just a smash passing position. I'm pulling him down into a leg weave, which means that I'm not going to get just past, I'm going to get past him out. Sloan, please demonstrate. All right, so I went from a sensational position to an absolutely terrible one like this based on one mistake. So we're going to make sure when we're doing any kind of X here, we want to make sure that our knees are splitting apart like so. I lift him up, let him drop down, and this knee right here is pushing in this direction because actually I want him to be on his hip like so. If he knows that the leg lock here is the primary attack, he'll actually try to get rid of this grip, hide this, and go to this side. And notice that in order to do this, my knee has to turn inward like so. So that's why I always want to be pointing it in this direction. And one thing that this does for this position is I can use my leg, my hip muscles, to try and pin him to the ground like so. One more time, real quick. All right, let's practice a little bit more and then we'll do some specific sparring. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, so to wrap it up and before we move to our sparring here, let's do a little recap of just guard and nogi. So this is kind of a personal tip for playing guard and nogi. It's don't. It's, I mean, obviously you should know how to play guard, but if it's like a really serious matter, if it's a competition, if it's a sparring round that you really absolutely have to win, guard and nogi compared to gi, there's just a lot less options. And one thing we have to keep in, take into account is the slipperiness after a while, right? So a lot of the techniques are easier to slip out of. However, one thing that we didn't cover in this week, well, two things, are two of the main guards. So nogi half guard and nogi close guard. We'll be working in our nogi classes a lot more on working those, and they work beautifully with some small adjustments, right, when it comes to grips. Now we're going to transition into sparring, and we're going to do specific sparring from the position today, so from single leg X. And actually, we may, at the end, throw in some butterfly guard as well. We'll be doing it from two positions. So one will be starting from the shin on shin. So the starting position will be right here. So see my knees pointing out. He will allow me to get this connection, kneecap to shoulder, but I won't be rotating in yet. So we'll start here. We'll just boom, boom, 3, 2, 1, and go from here. Then the other position will be single leg X, but let's play around a little bit, and he'll go down on this knee, just so that we see a slightly different position here. So he's down on this knee, just like so. This will be the second starting position. And we'll do a couple of rounds just moving around. So the first one is shin on shin. The second one is single leg X with the knee down. Do you have anything to add to this?
I actually did, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you guys if I remember something.
Okay, cool. Let's get ready with our partners. I'll start the timer. 1, 2, 3.